Alright, greetings everyone, and welcome on today's webcast, on which we're gonna talk about the short sell-off that we had on the market as of the 7th of September, and basically what are the strategies that you can use to handle this kind of pressure, because I mean, these kind of consequences are inevitable. I mean, you can not see the market going up all the time. There will be periods of time when you will see sell-offs because traders, they lock in their returns. Also, some events may cause a market sell-off, and eventually more fuel will be added into the sell-off if there are lots of leveraged long positions on the market that otherwise get wrecked when the market is falling. So that's something that we've seen many times in crypto already. So for me, for example, that I wouldn't say that's something that I did not expect. Of course, we all expected that to happen. It's just that you need to know, I mean, you need to stick with your plan always, and you need to make sure that your strategy is sharp and solid. And if you lack some I would say, if you feel like you lack some skills and that you're not satisfied with the results that you get from your automated bots, for example, you can see here that I have 12 bots active as of now, and honestly I would say that they are doing just great for me. I mean, you can see some bots that been active for like 3 months already, and if you look at Algo, for example, it's been just 1 month, and it still makes me around 2% per day. It's like 70 for this month. I mean, that's huge. Okay, so even though of course this market sell-off affected all of us, you can see it here. We can actually even estimate it, price change from the highest price to the lowest. I mean, yeah, that was around minus 20% intraday. So that's like minus $10,000. But I mean, we've seen such cases before, even when the market was rising. I mean, we saw that here, for example. You see around 16%. Well, it's just, you know, shit happens, if you can say so. It's just how you react to this. So that's something we will discuss, strategies to react when you see this kind of market sell-off. We will also go through some configurations you can have in automated bots. For example, I got some inquiries, like questions as of when it makes sense to have a wider trading range with a limited number of grid levels, and when it really makes sense to have a trading range with many grid levels, so that you achieve the highest frequency trading mode as possible. So this is something that we will go through as well. And yeah, pretty much we're gonna look into what are the current market conditions and what are the configurations you can use to enter the market now, and how you can protect yourself in case if the market tries to breach the support line once again and fall down to 42k, for example. Let's see how many of you are now live here on the stream. Okay, great. So yeah, let's go. I would briefly go through all the bots that I have, because that's like, it's become a tradition, I would say, just to monitor the performance of the bots that sometimes we open together, sometimes I open on my own just to kind of experiment and you know, to have some bots for a mid-term and even for the long-term perspective. For example, I'm not going to close my Bitcoin and I think Solana for at least like the next 3 months. I don't really think that I'm gonna close them. Well, unless I come up with maybe with a better configuration that can potentially bring me more returns? Well, we will see. So I added, which was the one that I added quite recently? Yeah, so Orchid protocol, that's the one I recently added. That's the coin in which I believe fundamentally, and it's just that I decided that I don't want to have a big stake in this coin in my portfolio, but instead I'd rather launch the bot, the classic bot, because in long-term perspective I believe that it's gonna rise. It's, for those of you who don't know Orchid protocol, it's the VPN solution on the crypto space with its unique approach to privacy and decentralization. I've been following them since like 2017 or something like that. Really prominent team. But yeah, enough of these fundamental things. So it's just that I wanted to show you the example of how you can add coins in your portfolio if you believe in them fundamentally, like in the long-term perspective. So since I don't want to have this big stake in my portfolio, I mean just buying crypto and holding it in my portfolio, instead I prefer to enter Orchid, I mean to add Orchid in my portfolio gradually, as well as to sell it also proportionately. So as you can see, I have this wide trading range. Let's actually look into, yeah, it's around 65%. Okay, so that's the space I gave to Orchid. I mean, I would say to my bot to trade Orchid. Okay, so I would say that's around 70%. Sometimes you can even have this even wider trading range of around 120%. It's really up to you. But for this one, I decided to follow this setup, and that way I have around 70% of my OXT tokens initially purchased. So out of $1,000, that's around $700 in the base currency. You can actually check this here. As you click on details, you see your balance, okay? And you can see the balance in the USDT. So since I know that the current value is around $1,000, if I deduct from this value my quote currency, well, pretty much around $730 is in OXT, okay? Current market exposure that I have in OXT. So that way I know that I'm not by 100% into the market with my $1,000. It's just that I still have some quote currency just in case if the price falls, and I will buy that way more OXT. And as the market falls, I buy more OXT. That way I achieve this thing known as the dollar cost averaging effect. Okay, it's a good thing, especially when you expect the market to revert quite quickly after this short sell off. And of course, this amount of OXT that I have now, it will be later sold on the market gradually as I have all these sell limit orders. And of course, as you all guys know, the logic of the bot is to always buy low and sell high. So if it goes higher and then falls back again, then it will again fill in buy orders so that later to sell it at a higher price. And that's how you can approach. I mean, that's how you can diversify. If you don't want to have, if you don't want to invest, let's say $1,000 into OXT right now at the current market price, but instead you'd rather diversify and you'd rather split your investment into multiple orders, using automated bots is like one of the best solutions you can have. And also it brings you money every day. Like so far, it brought me $1. I mean, it's good. You can spend $1 on chewing gum, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of a profit already. Buying chewing gum per day, I mean, it's not healthy, but it's kind of, you know, it's what you can afford with this kind of setup that I have as of now. But yeah, that's the one that I recently added. And also Kusama, yeah, that's like the competitor to Polkadot, Cosmos, and then Ethereum, of course. So this is like a layer 1 solution you have in crypto space now. I personally believe that the competition, this kind of pressure there is between the protocols like the Avalanche, Polkadot, Ethereum, it's insane. They are all fighting for your traction. They are fighting for higher TPS through output, and you know, this whole thing about the scalability and privacy. So they put a lot of effort into this, and you can see that coins like Avalanche, Polkadot, Kusama, I mean Solana is, I mean, if you look at Solana, it's sick. I mean, don't you think that it's like kind of a stable coin as of now? I mean, it looks like Solana didn't even know about the market sell-off that happened when it happened 2 days ago. I mean, yes, you can see this on the chart, but almost instantly, like straight away, it pulled back again, and now it's trading higher. I mean, that's, I mean, in this kind of market scenarios, when you see this sharp sell-off on Bitcoin and on Ethereum, those prominent coins, you can look at other coins and see how they react to this sell-off. And as you can see, Solana is now trading higher than before the sell-off. I mean, this tells me a lot about the market appetite for this coin, and that the community behind Solana is really strong. All right, so this kind of, you shouldn't be afraid of this kind of sell-offs. It's just that during these sell-offs you can really find those coins that are doing more than just great. Okay, they're not just rising together with Bitcoin, but they can react to this kind of sell-offs quite quickly. So that's how you can sometimes approach react to this kind of market sell-offs. But as of money, I mean, how to preserve, how to secure your returns, how to secure your deposit, there is no definite solution for that, but rather a set of solutions that you can use. And in my case, I always tell you that the best way for you to really sleep well at night and at the same time generate returns on a monthly basis. I mean, of course, there can be some month then you are in loss, but most importantly, it's just that you need to have more profitable month than losing month. Okay, that's the aim, and the way to achieve it is through the strategy diversification you can have in crypto using Bitsgap. So just to quickly remind you, in my case, that's always automated bots. That accounts to around 50% of my entire deposit, because I know that, you know, I mean, automated bots, they will not just bring me daily returns, but they will also achieve this dollar cost averaging effect. When the market is falling, it's gonna just gradually buy the crypto I want to have in my portfolio, and that way it kind of averages the market, it averages the price at which I entered the market. Okay, so it's just that it achieves this dollar cost averaging effect, and once the market reverts and goes higher again, you will see even bigger rewards. Okay, so that's the thing about automated bots. And also they they actually secure your portfolio. The way it secures it, let me show you how. So for example, let's check maybe this one. So if you look at this one and trading to USDT, the feature that we added is the initial funds value and the current funds value, and you can now compare what would be the outcome if you just possessed that amount of ants on your portfolio and that amount of USDT in your portfolio, instead of launching a crypto bot. So the result would be disappointing. It would be minus $18. So if you would stick with 27 and 320 USDT, then this would be your result of your passive hodling in that case. But thanks to the bot, it not just managed to make $17 as a kind of a passive income. You can consider it as a, well, I would say semi-passive income, because still you spend some time to configure the bot, you still monitor the bot, so it's kind of a semi-passive strategy. Even though the bot trades on its own, it's kind of still semi-passive strategy. And this semi-passive strategy brought you, I mean, it kind of saved you from having minus $18. Now you have just minus $8. That's because of the bot profit generated, which offsets the the whole negative value change put on your portfolio because of this market sell-off. Okay, so thanks to bots, they can really save you money. And yeah, let's check maybe another example I might have here, maybe Uni. Let's see. Well, it's kind of still, you see the bot performance is better, but just by $6, which is still a sign that performance of the bot is better, but kind of not a huge gap, I would say. Maybe let's check Solana, not this one. Actually, in case of Solana, it would be way better if I just hodled this whole amount of Solana. But the truth is that at the time when I launched this bot, my aim was just to allocate around $600 and let my bot fix returns on a daily basis. Even though I strongly believed in the value of Solana back then, it was a month ago. I mean, I already had a huge stake in Solana just in my hodl portfolio. So you can see here, Solana, it accounts for a big portion of my current portfolio, and I actually sell it whenever the price goes higher by around 30%, 40% or something. I usually tend to sell around 15% or even 20%. Okay, it's just that don't be greedy. Okay, the market cannot go up all the time. It's just that you need to be, how to say, okay, just don't be greedy. Okay, you still make money, it's just that you need to fix, like, lock into your returns. Okay, because right now, if you see, for example, my Solana, if you're in Bitcoin, all these returns, they are all unrealized. Okay, and only when you sell Solana, it's then you realize your returns, and that's something that you can say that yes, I achieved this kind of level of return on my investment. Until the moment you sell it, you're just pending unrealized return. So that's why my rule of thumb is to sell around 15-20% each time the price goes around like 30 to 40% higher. Okay, because eventually you will see this kind of market sell-offs, and you can use these proceedings to buy more Solana, but at lower price. Okay, it's just that you really need to be patient and understand the market environment, and that during this market sell-offs, it's a great opportunity to even add more on your balance, because it's kind of a how to say, Black Swan is pretty much a discount day. It's just that if you see that in the long-term perspective, the whole on-chain and off-chain data suggests you that the market is strong. I mean, there is a huge inflow to cold wallets still, and whales are entering the market, and you can see whales still hodling a big chunk of bitcoins in their wallets. It's a green sign for you. It's a bullish sign. Even then you see this kind of sell-offs. It's just that these sell-offs, they sometimes put pressure on traders that are not experienced, and they just get scared that the market is gonna fall even further way down. But the way for you to protect yourself from this kind of market sell-off is just really to have this full diversification. Bots allow you to minimize your loss and secure your returns. That's something that we learned already from previous webcasts and from your own practical experience and from what I just demonstrated to you, you can see this apparent effect of bots really saving you money and generating you returns on a daily basis. Okay, so to pretty much summarize, I would say scroll out, zoom out the chart, look if you see that the bullish sentiment still remains, and you can use different tools, like for example, in my case I used fixed range volume profile just to see whether or not support or resistance line sustained, and I also look into some on-chain data you can have on the Glassnode, for example. Glassnode, it actually costs quite a lot, but you can still get some free charts, and from this data you can learn when the market is really scared, and usually when the market is scared, you will notice a huge inflow to exchanges from the cold wallets. That is an indication that market players are going to exchanges to sell coins. Okay, and also you will see that the number of whales, big pocket size wallets diminishes at that time. So usually this will be a first indication that yes, we are kind of entering a bearish market. But as of now, we don't see this. It's the opposite. Actually, I think I saw this chart quite recently. I think it's this one. Yeah, on this chart you can see that pretty much whales, they are accumulating, and this sell-off, it was just an opportunity to buy even more. So for those of you who follow the markets, fundamentals, and use this kind of on-chain and off-chain data, you realize that this market sell-off that happened, it's pretty much just a great opportunity for you to once again launch the SBot, because we know that the SBot is the best one to accumulate your returns on this kind of market sell-offs. And after this kind of sell-offs, we expect the market to move a bit sideways. Okay, but it's never guaranteed, right? It's just that still shit may happen further, and in order to protect yourself from that, just make sure that you use the stop loss, which is not the case for the most of my bots here, because most of them are for mid-term and long-term. So that's why I usually don't set stop loss, because of the market volatility. And you know that when you have a trailing up together with the stop loss, your stop loss is going to be moving together with the trading range. And I caught myself losing money because my bot exited the market with a stop loss which was trading higher, but in reality I would never exit at the price at which it decided to exit, just based on the stop loss that was trading. So that's why on those bots that I have trading up on, I tend not to use the stop loss as of this strategy that I selected 3 months ago. Okay, it's just my choice. I don't want my bot to exit the market at the price at which fundamentally and both technically it makes no sense to exit. So I'd rather control my bots on a daily basis. But if you don't want to monitor the market every single day and you have other things to do, like, I don't know, your daily job, if for example trading for you is just a lucrative activity, then you might have a daily job, you have a family, you have other things to do. Okay, whatever, camping, jogging, running, lots of things to do else. So that's why we have all the tools here on the automated bots to secure your returns and to minimize the loss. That's why stop loss is a must for those of you who don't want to monitor your bots on a daily basis. and you want to sleep well, I would highly recommend to you to stick with the stop loss. Well, if you look at the chart right now, that's unit to USDT. Honestly, we can see that there was a kind of impressive withstanding. I mean, the support line did actually sustain, but if there is going to be another attempt to breach the support, then I would put the stop loss below this level, so around this price level. Okay, it's kind of a logic is simple. If it breaks this construction that it already made here, then the next stop would be here for you, because if it breaks it and goes lower, then most likely it's gonna fall even further way down. So maybe if we can open Bitcoin to USDT. That's why I use this volume profile. It really tells me where is the next possible stop. So right now, according to this, it's over here. Let's make it yellow. No, let's make it, yeah, like this. So that's according to the next highest volume traded at the price of around 40. But I would actually adjust it to around 42, because here you can see clearly these peaks, highs and lows. And yeah, I mean, maybe around this level I would expect, if the price falls from the current price level, then that means that there is still a huge selling pressure on the market. Where is my brush? Yeah, it's here. So if it breaks, then most likely it will fall to this area around, from which we will hopefully expect it to bounce off again. Yeah, so this is kind of the thing you can trade. As of now, the stop loss I would put around here. If you'd rather wait and you see that the price falls to around 42k, you can enter the market here and put your stop loss, in that case, below this support line. So that way you give some space for the bot to trade, but at the same time you limit your potential loss in case if the market continues downward pressure. But as of now, just once again to repeat, fundamentally it doesn't look like the market is kind of entering a bearish momentum. It's just that we had this sell-off after this bull run we had after a 3 month of a sideways market. So of course inevitably you will see traders look into their returns. That way they put some selling pressure on the market, and that way they can trigger liquidations for those who are over leveraged with their long positions on the futures market. Okay, so that's the thing. There was a question about the configuration you can use, and basically there are two ways of how you can configure the bot. The first thing, always start with the trading range. Okay, so let's use this tool, horizontal line over here, and let's put it over here. So in that case your range is around 22%, which in, like, for the bot it's kind of a small trading range. Okay, so if you feel like the market is gonna move for some time within this formation, like let's say like this, sideways, then I would, from my experience, recommend you to have around 50 grid levels in between, because when you have this multiple number of grid levels, you see the frequency is high enough for the bot to capture even minor price swings on this sideways market. Because what we know about the sideways market is that the volatility on the sideways market is kind of small. I mean, it's how to say, it's not it's not like 10% intraday, okay? It's usually like 2-3% or something. So that way you, with this kind of setup, you can see the frequency. I mean, even with your eye, you don't need to even calculate the grid step between your grids. It's just that you already see that there are enough of the grid levels to capture as many minor price swings on this sideways market that you might expect based on the current sell-off. And yeah, that would be pretty much my configuration if I would enter the market now. But the question is whether or not you will make more money with this configuration, or instead maybe you could make more money just having, let's say, 10 grid levels. Okay, so the trade-off here is that when you have fewer grid levels, of course your grid step is going to be higher, and that means that the profit generated from one order is going to be way bigger than the profit generated from those setup that we just had with 50 grid levels. Okay, but your risk is that the price will not trigger some of these grid levels. Okay, so you will be left behind the train in that sense. Okay, so it's all about your expectations. If you expect the volatility to be at its kind of average, even below the average level of around 3 to like 4% daily, I mean, even that is actually kind of a lot for the Bitcoin. But anyway, if you expect around 3-4% per day, then I would stick with having multiple grid levels within a limited trading range to achieve the highest frequency rate. But if you feel like the market might still swing crazy and it can still fall to even around like 35, then I would suggest to have a wider trading range, like up to the previous maximum we had. Oh, did we really have a 64 for Bitcoin? Really? Oh yeah, that's actually the price we had. I forgot about it. But yeah, well, you can set your trading range, like the upper limit price, up to that point, okay? Because you know it's already explored this price range, and that's inevitably it will explore it again. Okay, so you can set around, in my case, I usually set around 25 grid levels. I think even if you check Bitcoin, I have, oh, even lower. I mean, it's 10, just 10 grid levels here. Yeah, and if I click on Bitcoin, you see the space between grid levels, and it's been doing just great. Like, I launched it since this last market fall from 50k, and you see how it perfectly handled the volatility and everything. It still managed to find this buy low and sell high opportunities, and it's still trading. I mean, and the trading range is following, and it's just doing great. So there is no definite answer whether configuration with 50 grid levels gonna bring you more returns than configuration with 10 grid levels, as I have on Bitcoin, for example. It's really about the volatility. If the volatility is insane, then for me, it really makes sense to stick with like 10 grid levels, 20 grid levels. If you feel like the volatility is going to be small and around like 3, 4, 5, even 6%, when I would rather stick with the bot having multiple grid levels, like the one I have. I think in synthetics, that's the one I have. Yeah. So you see, it's kind of captured many minor price swings. You see, lots of minor price swings over here. That was actually good setup here. But anyway, you can always backtest. So let's say let's check basic attention token trading to BUSD. And let's see if from this July, no, July is too long. Let's check from, what is the latest we can check? Let's see. It's the 10th of August. Okay, let's check on the map. Oh, sorry, on the chart. 10th of August. Yeah, so let's check if this configuration with $1,000 and maybe just only 10 grid levels. Oh, okay, so for this one it's 20 you need to have. Okay, let's even put 2,000. Why it's not enough? What's the problem? It's bigger. Okay, but why is that? Honestly, I don't remember why it puts me into this kind of restriction, but let's check with $1,000 anyway. 20 grid levels, 2% grid step. I mean, it's actually a small one. Let's try, but yeah, it's the minimum of 20. But maybe let's check on ASMOD instead, and let's try with this time 10. Yeah, okay, so that way it's better. 4%. Let's check the backtest from the 10th of August. It would make me 14%. You can see exactly how it would have performed if you launched it back then with this trading setup. But what if instead I would stick with sorry, what was the return once again? 14%, 14.24. And let's check with 50 grid levels. Okay, if not 50, then 30. Okay, so at least 600. Yeah, we can still increase because it estimates return not in the dollar profit but in the percentage, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, it would be just 12% with this trading setup. Okay, so even though you had more grid levels, and that means you had more of trading activity, you had more trades being opened by the bot on the exchange, selling high, buying low, it did actually spend money on like paying fees. Okay, so when you have multiple grid levels, expect to pay more in fees because apparently you kind of had more trades. But it also needs to take into account the volume you spend. So sometimes it's usually can be the same expenses whenever you had like 15 grid levels or 30 grid levels. It's kind of usually, if all added up together, it would be pretty much the same. But yeah, it's around 12% on the 30 days and apparently by 2% lower than the return that you would generate with just only 10 grid levels. Okay, so it looks like on the rising market, when you expect this kind of volatility we had on basic attention token, I would say this kind of sell-offs and then bounces back and then establishing new higher high. So yeah, on this kind of volatility, it really makes sense to have fewer grid levels. Okay, but maybe I should have actually found this before the webinar to show you some sideways market formations. Maybe this can be let's go and check on OKEX, no, actually on Huobi, where I have my VU token. Where is that? Oh, it's been actually, yeah, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it was falling, but moving more or less. Yeah, not the best one to show you as of now. But anyway, once again, there is no definite answer to whether or not you should stick with a trading range having fewer grid levels or trading range having as many grid levels as you can afford to achieve the highest frequency rate. It's really about the volatility once again. And in order to monitor the volatility, you just need to look into the past and see how it's been volatile for the last maybe 5 months or something in kind of pretty much the same scenarios. You can check how it behaved, what was the volatility, and on all this kind of thing. So that's like the preliminary research you can do, kind of to construct this idea of the average volatility per this coin you want to have in your portfolio, and based on this volatility you can play with different configurations. So I'm really telling you, like, I'm not even sure that all of these configurations that I now have active is that they are like the ultimate, the best ones for me. I'm still exploring better configurations, and I always change. I mean, not always, that would be a lie, because most of the trades that I have here, I should have actually flipped them to classic bot, because when the market breached the breached the resistance of the sideways formation we had for the last 3 months, it was a clear sign that we need to switch to the classic bot, because we know that on the rising market, classic bot brings us more money, okay? Because it just accumulates more of the base currency when the price appreciates, and that way we increase our exposure, and that way we gain more money as the value changes positively. So yeah, but it would be a lie to say that I kind of react quickly enough. Most of these trades I haven't flipped just for the sake of some webinars where I had to demonstrate the performance instead, and then demonstrate that if I would have switched to 0x BUSD strategy from SBOT to classic bot, then most likely it would be not $175, but I would say it would be, with the classic bot, it would be around $230, honestly, if you check the market performance since the last sideways market. So that's the thing. I mean, nobody knows like what's the ultimate configuration. If there was an ultimate configuration, I mean, we would just post this article on the website. We would pin it so that whenever you open website, you would see this, and we would just say, okay, use this configuration because it has proven to be the best one. It's not like that. I mean, the market volatility is constantly changing. There are new coins entering the market. Some prominent projects that we believe that were prominent back in, let's say, 2018, they are no longer getting that level of traction they used to have 2 years, like 3 years ago, compared with other coins we have, like these NFT coins, DAO infrastructure coins, social tokens, if you know what the social token is all about. I mean, there are lots of new niches emerging, like emerging trends, and I would say the market is still immature, but it's kind of getting to that point that it's becoming more efficient, and there are now fewer arbitrage opportunities on central exchanges, which is a good sign. And yeah, I mean, it's all about just you know, practicing. And in order to practice, you have this demo mode to play with the virtual money and see if the strategy you selected is a good one, and it really justifies the opportunity cost you spent on having this robot instead of holding money instead. So use this tool to come up with your, I wouldn't say best strategy, because you never know if it's the best or not. There might be even better. It's always about the comparison. But the way for you to see whether or not this strategy is good for you, it's just to compare your results with past month and see if those tweaks you made in bot's configuration, they now resulted in bringing you more returns from the market. Okay, maybe you started to exploit the take profit function, or maybe you also started to protect your trades with the stop loss, and that way you secure your returns. With the take profit, you actually also secure your returns, and the way you secure your returns with the take profit is by exiting the market at a certain return on investment level. So it's kind of, yeah, it's something that goes directly to your pocket. Okay, it might be the case that without this take profit, a huge market sell-off could happen, and all the money you gained and otherwise you could have secured it with a take profit. Instead, you didn't have the take profit on, and on this market sell-off you lost more than half of the profit generated from this trade. So yeah, I mean, play with all these features you have here. I mean, literally they are all designed to secure and maximize your returns. Okay, and don't look at all my trades as a benchmark. I mean, I'm also experimenting. I'm a trader like you guys. That's not my daily job or whatsoever. I'm not calling myself a guru of trading or whatsoever. It's just that I have these results, and you can check previous webcasts to see the performance. And yeah, I mean, we learn from this market together, guys, and yeah, that's what I have as of now, and I'm pretty much feeling good. It's just that I'm still considering closing 4 bots and switching instead on the classic bot, but I'd rather wait for some time to see how the market is gonna react and recover from this market sell-off. If it really recovers quick enough, then most likely I will enter the market at this price level around. If not, then we will see another sell-off and then the next support line. So maybe at the next support line we'll consider entering the market with the classic bot. Okay, so yeah, really depends on the market conditions, your expectations. Okay, subjectiveness here is inevitable. You will always have this kind of biases. Whenever you feel like you are cold-minded and unbiased, I mean, I would say you are kind of lying to yourself. You can never be by 100% sure in the price direction. Some shit can happen. I mean, before that we had Elon Musk tweeting some things about crypto, and that affected a lot the market sentiment. Okay, and then this resulted in other events causing even a further cascade of the market sell-off. So these are the things you cannot predict. Okay, so it's a human nature here, it's psychology. And yeah, the way for you to really secure yourself is just having this proper diversification. And the way I call it, I mean, the way I achieve diversification is just by splitting my funds into automated bots, 50%, smart trade mode around 20% usually, and hodl strategy around 30%. Okay, so I have on my balance some hodl coins. I just hodl a bit Ethereum and then Solana, Quantum, just love Quantum, and Algo is, I mean, it's great. Just do some due diligence and you will learn about this. I'm not telling you like this a kind of a financial advice or whatsoever. I'm just showing you my portfolio, and that this is my hodl portfolio, but it's not 100% allocation into hodl. It's just around 30% or something. The rest is in automated bots, and the rest of the money I use in just smart trading mode. In the smart trade mode, you can have even more control over your trades, because here you are the god, you are the one who executes pretty much, not the bot. So you have this stop order, stop limit, and that, and by the way, I think in a week we will add a new order, and you will be very glad to see this new feature. I can promise you, I can guarantee you this. You will all like this new feature we are about to add. Okay. So yeah, diversification is the key. Okay. So even though, so honestly, to be honest with you, on the market, on the day when this market sell-off happened, my total value was around $27,000, and I think before the 7th of September, before, like the day before it, the value was around 32 or something. Okay, so now it's pretty much close to $32, and that's partly thanks to my bots that managed to handle this market sell-off. Like in case of Boom, 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 boom. I think that was Kozama doing great. Yeah, you see, just greatly managed this sell-off and then bounced off again back. So lots of sell orders here executed, profit made by the bot, which offset the whole value loss on this market sell-off. And like gradually we are, no, actually I wouldn't say gradually, it's quite quickly. For like the last 2 days it pretty much almost recovered. Okay, and I even added more of some coins that I wanted to see in my portfolio. So yeah, okay, bots, they secure your returns. Market timing is everything, be patient, and diversification is the key. Make sure you have multiple strategies, because one strategy can offset with its profit generated, it can really offset all the loss you made on other strategies. Usually hodl is the best strategy because it requires you to have the most of the patience, and when you have this patience, it will be rewarded eventually. Okay, so you can say that your hodl coins, they cover some losses that you incurred when you've been trading in a smart trade mode. Okay, so that's why, yeah, diversification is the key. Let's see your questions. Is there a roadmap or something we can follow, or Sept fixes and new features? So since Bitsgap is not an open source project as what you would expect from some crypto projects, but Bitsgap is not a crypto project, that's why you cannot really expect these fixes and new features. It's just that we try to update you on that as soon as possible, as far as we are sure that this kind of feature is coming next week or in 2 weeks. That's something that we announce. Sometimes on the webcasts you can hear me mentioning some things that are incoming, but usually I never mention a certain deadline. Okay, so there is gonna be a new feature pretty much soon. It can be in a week or even 2 weeks, but pretty soon, I would say. So you can get these updates just by being subscribed on us on Twitter, watching these webcasts, sometimes even communicating with the support members we have. When you go on the main page, you can have it here, you see, you can always chat, but I highly urge you to use this chat just only in cases then you have some problems with trading. Try not to waste the time of those working in the support team, because they really want to focus on the things that are of the highest urgency, like something is not trading on your side, or like you cannot link your API key. So I mean, this kind of things. So I would rather say do not bother them unless you have something urgent to say. Okay, it's like, yeah. So also you can have your questions answered on the Telegram chat we have. We have a kind of kindly community there, but yeah, that's kind of how it works. Are the bots pre-built? Are the bots pre-built? Well, if I understand this question correctly, then yes, it's pre-built, because we use the technology that's been present on the market since a long time. Like all these DCA greed levels, they've been on the market for a long time. It's just that we add some unique logic into how bots use this greed and DCA order setups, and we also test them before releasing them. Okay, so for example, if you look here, you can see that combo bot is still in the beta mode. It means that even though it is kind of 95% functioning, we still conduct some tests and making some tweaks just to make sure that once we close this beta mode and we'll announce about the final release of the combo bot, like it's no longer in the beta mode, then yes, most likely you will see some new features added to the combo bot. But right now it's kind of a public test, okay? So we are by 95% sure that everything is okay, but sometimes, well, I never encountered any errors with my combo bot, yeah, but if you had, then it's just because it's still in the beta mode. Support didn't get back to me in a week after bot malfunctioned and lost me money. Okay, so first of all, you cannot say that bot lost the money, because it always makes you money and even saves you your money on the market fall, and that's something we discussed on this webinar, because you see the bot profit is always positive. It cannot be negative, okay? And we even added this feature to compare results, okay? If you would hodl, it would be 22. If you would stick with the bot, it would be bigger, 25. So you cannot say that bots they lose your money. But as of the response rate, yes, sometimes due to the flow of requests, it's just impossible for each single member of the support team to reply on your questions, because sometimes questions can be really hard and it really takes time. Sometimes they even approach me or some other team members from like the core team to get the proper answer, okay? That's the focus for us, to make sure that we deliver in depth and meaningful answers instead of chatting with all of you, because it would be just impossible. It's all about the urgency rate. Stop trading. I have proof. The Watchtower says that the bot malfunctioned and that he or she, I don't know, has a proof. Yeah, it's great that you have a proof, because that way you can share this proof, and that way we can review it and see what was wrong with the bot to fix it, okay? So that's something that I expect you guys always to do. Like whenever you see like something wrong is going on, just make a snapshot, or I don't know, record a video and send it, okay, to us, and we will quickly review it depending on its urgency, okay? So I mean, for those of you who've been following Bitsgap for quite a long time, you know that 2 months ago you guys wanted us to add trailing down feature, and now it is on. Trailing down is here, okay? So that means that we are listening to you, okay? So I mean, speak up, share what you feel like is going to be beneficial for the entire Bitsgap community. What are the features that you guys want to see on Bitsgap, okay? The more you provide, the better, okay? That's how it works. Even though we are not an open source project and we don't have this DAO framework as you have on the Uniswap, for example, then, well, if you guys know Uniswap, then recently they announced that they will immigrate to Arbitrum scaling solution. I mean, that was just because of one guy who proposed this idea. It got upvotes, and then eventually it got upvoted to the level that the core team really started to integrate, and now they are migrating to the Arbitrum. It's not the same on Bitsgap. We don't have this kind of DAO ecosystem, but we have the Webcast, we have support team, and it acts like as a layer, like as a communication channel, and we always look into your feedback, and we always consider what should be added based on your feedback and what is lacking and everything. We even had and we'll have new test groups before releasing any big features. Like something we had for the combo bot before the release, we had around 50 or 60 people, like just regular traders on Bitsgap, and they got access to closed testing of the combo bot. Back then it was in on the core server of the Bitsgap, not even on the public chain. So yeah, I mean, this is something you can always do and also do, sorry. And right now we don't have any active closed test groups, but I previously mentioned that most likely we will have some, and you could join them for sure by applying. So yeah. And okay, so it means that we are not able to change. Yeah, that's Tatiana, that's the correct answer about the NA symbol. Yeah, that's true. My balance in the bot do not match my portfolio. Actually, it's a good advice from Caesar Bermudez. If sorry if I pronounced it incorrect. Add more money to working bot, please. Yeah, that's kind of a solution. So that's why I have, you see, 12 bots, and I monitor them and then see if they are doing well. For those of bots that were doing great, I enabled a trailing down. And for some bots, I think I even closed a few bots and then launched them with pretty much the same configuration, but with more money added. That's something that I think I did for, I might be mistaken, but I think I made it for Algo. Yeah, and it's now in NA zone because it's been trailing up. Actually, Algo is doing just great. Look, I mean, it's just been rising. I think it's been rising even more than Solana. That's why 70% for 1 month. That's sick. Jeez. Yeah. Okay, so it's been an hour as always for the webcast, and if you feel like there are some still important questions to be answered, then you can always ask them on the next webcast, or you can leave them in the comment section below. I think we will post this video for sure. It will be on the YouTube, so you can ask your questions there as well. Yep. Maybe last time, let me check some questions you might have. Okay, so there's the thing. It would be nice to adjust the grid after the bot has started. I know that the orders will have to be cancelled, but right now we often have to buy or sell more quote currency when recreating the bot. Yeah, I understand. So even I sometimes encounter this problem, like for example, OXT to USDT. Let's say I want to relaunch it with the new configuration. Let's say I want to have now, instead of 35 grid levels, I want to have 55. Most likely it will require me to allocate more money, because usually the more grid levels you set, the more money is required. So that's the first thing I would need to check. And also, most likely my balance, which I have now, around 1,800 OXT and 300 USDT. Well, I mean, you can still play with this tool here to kind of have a pretty much close configuration to the one you have now on OXT. But as I use it, you see, it's not exactly 1,800, but it's a bit lower, okay? But still kind of close to this value, okay? But yeah, now you see more money is required. Okay, let's say 50 grid levels. Yeah, it's kind of not the same. I understand. It's because it cannot be the same. You cannot achieve the same balance you had on the previous bot, because now you have now a completely different setup, and of course it's gonna be different. So as of now, I don't really see the point in having this feature to change configuration on your live bot, because it's kind of how to say, an extra step you don't need to do. Instead, just close the bot and launch it with a better configuration you want to have. Okay, but maybe the cool thing to do would be just to maybe copy paste some parameters. Let's say upper price and lower price. So let's say you want to copy paste that to your new configuration instead of remembering it in your head or writing it down on a paper and then looking into the paper and writing this exact number again. Maybe the kind of copy paste features can be added. That's for sure, but not completely like altering your grid position on your live bot and adding some like more configurations into your live bot. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty much it for today. I hope you guys were not shaken off this market after this sell-off. Trade wise, don't put more than you cannot afford to lose, otherwise you won't be able to sleep well. Okay, always stick with your core fundamental research. Like if you see and you know that the on-chain and off-chain data suggests that the market should go higher and there are no reasons for the market to enter the bearish trend, then don't be afraid of this kind of sell-offs when you had 20% down intraday. Okay, it's this thing is for those it's a scary thing for those traders that are just entering the market, but for those experienced and for those that are using automated bots and all these diversification features we discussed, they are not afraid of these sell-offs. Instead, they are glad to see this kind of sell-offs because it provides you opportunity to buy at a discount. Okay, it's a sell-off, it's a discount. Okay, it's a Black Friday kind of, you know, so it's an opportunity to kind of add more. Okay, and then on the rising markets to gain even more returns, of course. But don't forget to fix your, like, to lock in your returns. I mean, you see the market rising. Well, I usually sell around 15% each time the market rises by like 30-40%. But that's for like, that's my benchmark for Solana or Algo coin, because they move like crazy. So you need to fix your returns. This market rise, it's an everlasting process. It's inevitably you would see this kind of market sell-offs and market entering the bearish trend. So secure your returns and don't be greedy. That's it. Appreciate. Have a nice the rest of this week. Stay safe. Yeah, and see you next time. Cheers.